Chapter 491, Thousand Flaming Palms, Ferocious Chop. A so-called half-step martial monarch simply meant a martial king who had cultivated his essence and his cultivation technique to their limits, comprehended his state to the limit, and practiced his martial techniques to the limit. Martial kings that reached the limits of all their aspects would discover a qualitative difference between themselves and other martial kings. All that remained would be for their mental energy to attain a certain level before they could successfully become a martial monarch. Xie Ziwen had excellent talent. His state, cultivation technique, and martial techniques could be said to have reached their limits already. His only deficiency was in his cultivation. However, his consumption of the blood essence pill made up for this shortfall. Within these 30 minutes, he could be considered a true half-step martial monarch. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen could still break his attacks easily. He did not seem to face any pressure. Only the arena within 1 meter of Xiao Chen remained intact, the rest was covered in pits and looked quite decrepit. Thousand flaming palms, gather! Xie Ziwen shouted, and the countless flaming palms in the air merged together. They formed one incredibly huge flaming palm that looked very realistic, even the palm lines could be seen clearly. This huge palm seemed like a tall wall rapidly crashing down. Its shadow instantly engulfed Xiao Chen. "I don't believe that I cannot crush you to death." Xie Ziwen continuously formed hand seals and the sea of flames around him surged. Unexpectedly, the huge, falling flame palm continued to grow stronger. Boom! A purple bolt of lightning pierced through the palm like a long spear. A faintly discernible figure was at the end of the lightning bolt. He held a saber and wore white robes with a blue strip of cloth around his forehead. His facial features were delicate and pretty as he stood in midair. The palm landed on the arena without pause, and the arena silently sank more than 10 meters into the ground. The might of this palm was astoundingly great. The surrounding crowd found it hard to imagine that the white figure could pierce through the palm with one saber strike. Shoo! Xiao Chen ferociously pointed his saber at the sky, and the sharp qi in his heart poured out from his saber and flew up. Dang! 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 The 2-meter saber vibrated continuously. An extremely sharp saber intent instantly spread throughout the entire Tianwu Plaza. The sabers of the bladesmen in the crowd all could not help but resonate with it, like they would fly out at any moment. When Zhang Zimo, Zuo Mo, Ding Fengqiu, and the other cultivators of the same generation saw this scene, they exchanged glances with one another with strange expressions. After a while, Zuo Mo said uncertainly, "This is saber intent, right? Ding Fengqiu, you are a swordsman who has comprehended sword intent. You should understand this better than us." When Ding Fengqiu looked at the white figure in the air, he felt very bitter. From today onwards, he could only chase this person from afar. Ding Fengqiu sighed softly and nodded. "There is no need to keep guessing. It is saber intent. Actually, I should have guessed it long ago." After he cleared the test of desire, his state of mind should have reached consummation. It is natural that the sharpness in his heart would sharpen into saber intent. Even though Ding Fengqiu said that, he had not expected Xiao Chen to comprehend saber intent so soon. He had estimated that Xiao Chen would need at least another 2 years to do so. When the rest heard Ding Fengqiu's answer, they all remained silent. Saber intent was different from sword intent in that it was harder to comprehend. If one could comprehend saber intent before the age of 30, one could become an exceptional bladesman. However, Xiao Chen managed to comprehend saber intent even before he reached the age of 20. He was comparable to the ancient era's genius bladesman. The distance between Xiao Chen and the rest had widened once again. Shi Hailong's jaw hung open for a long time before he managed to close it again. All the worry that was previously on his wrinkled face now vanished. He relaxed his expression and smiled. "Ha ha ha. Gong Haoyu, you asked for this humiliation yourself. Let's see how you are going to give an account to your pavilion master when you return." Xie Ziwen's second martial uncle, Gao Yangyu, had a sullen expression. He had to struggle to say, "Don't laugh too early. It is just saber intent. It is not sufficient for him to overcome a half-step martial monarch." Shu. When that sharp qi in Xiao Chen's heart poured out, his entire body felt very comfortable. Now that my saber intent has formed, the sharpness in my heart will never fade away. From this moment on, I can truly be called a bladesman. Xie Ziwen's expression changed erratically. When he looked at the airborne Xiao Chen spreading his saber intent everywhere, a sense of despair bloomed in his heart. It's impossible, this is impossible. Since I became famous, no one has been able to defeat me, aside from those expert geniuses of the great Jin nation. This Xiao Chen is merely a cultivator from the great Qin nation. It is impossible for him to defeat me. I have to be victorious, I must be victorious. I will snatch away his luck and become the top genius of the great Jin nation. Xie Ziwen howled furiously. Veins bulged on his forehead as he shouted, "Dance of 10,000 flames." Xie Ziwen formed hand seals. The sea of flames around him surged with huge, strong waves. The temperature of the entire plaza immediately soared. The scorching air forced everyone to circulate their energies in order to resist it. "Rise." Xie Ziwen pointed at Xiao Chen as sweat dripped down his forehead. This move used all the essence he had, making him extremely pale. If Xie Ziwen had not consumed the blood essence pill, he could not have executed this move. Kai, Kai, Kai. Within the sea of flames, thousands of flame ribbons the width of arms rose towards Xiao Chen, trying to kill him. Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold and as sharp as knives. He grabbed his saber with his right hand. With the support of the sharp saber intent, the saber light became extremely resplendent. Dang, dang, dang. The sabers of the bladesmen present could no longer be held back. They all flew in the air with buzzing sounds. Eternal saber intent, inextinguishable sharpness. Relying on the sharpness of the saber intent, Xiao Chen did not retreat. For the first time since he became a peak medial grade martial king, he unleashed his strength without holding back at all. Ka-ca, ka-ca. The saber light flashed, slicing flame ribbons apart like strips of noodles. The dazzling red ribbons fell from the air, looking very pretty. Xiao Chen continued chopping down the ribbons until he arrived before Xie Ziwen. Xiao Chen managed to chop all the flame ribbons into slivers. The dance of 10,000 flames was the upgraded version of the dance of 1,000 flames that had given him trouble in the past. Yet, he easily dealt with it like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Shu. His sharp saber intent blanketed the entire arena, and the mysterious phenomenon that Xie Ziwen created out of this state instantly vanished. Xie Ziwen was only halfway through the execution of his final move when Xiao Chen tyrannically suppressed it. "You lose." Xiao Chen placed his saber's blade against Xie Ziwen's neck before repeating what he had said previously with a calm expression. Xiao Chen's voice was as calm as ever. With his saber pressed against Xie Ziwen's neck, he could easily kill Xie Ziwen with a single move. The plaza fell extremely silent. No one said a word as they looked at Xiao Chen. Now, no one believed that he reached the 8th floor as a result of luck. Xiao Chen had terminated the mysterious phenomenon of the Sea of Flames in a tyrannical fashion. Xie Ziwen had originally looked very pale due to his overdrawing on his essence, but now he looked even paler. Fu Si. Xie Ziwen vomited a large mouthful of blood. The overwhelming aura that he had before shriveled up like a deflated balloon. It had already been a jaw stick's worth of time. The effect of the blood essence pill ended and the repercussions kicked in. Xie Ziwen's eyes became dispirited and completely drained of strength. His cultivation dropped to medial grade martial king. It would be impossible for Xie Ziwen to recover to his peak state within 3 months. This was the cruel side effect of the blood essence pill. Shu. The figure of Evil Moon Pavilion's Gong Haoyu flashed. He grabbed Xie Ziwen and looked coldly at Xiao Chen. He said, "Very good, you have now completely offended the Evil Moon Pavilion. You better not step into the Great Jin Nation. Otherwise, no one will be able to protect you." After Gong Haoyu said that, he shouldered Xie Ziwen and was about to rush into the sky, intending to leave the Tianwu Plaza. Boom! Just as Gong Haoyu rose into the air, he discovered a strand of very sharp saber qi making for his head at lightning speed. The saber qi was infused with a sharp saber intent. The support of the saber intent amplified the state of thunder within the saber qi to at least double strength. Gong Haoyu's expression turned cold as he sent a palm strike at the saber qi. An electric light flickered before it exploded in the air. The saber qi turned into sparks lighting up the sky. However, it managed to force Gong Haoyu back to the ground. "Xiao Chen, what are you trying to do?" Gong Haoyu shouted after he landed. Xiao Chen pointed his saber at Gong Haoyu and said calmly, "Did I say that you can leave?" Xiao Chen's 2-meter-long saber vibrated continuously. It continued to emanate a sharp saber intent, and all the sabers that the saber intent called over quickly started resonating. When the thousands of cultivators in the Tianwu Plaza heard what Xiao Chen said, they felt like their brains had short-circuited. What was Xiao Chen thinking of doing? Gong Haoyu was one of the Evil Moon Pavilion's outer sect elders. He became a half-step martial monarch many years ago. Although Gong Haoyu had limited resources and had no way to become a martial monarch in his lifetime, he was still a bona fide half-step martial monarch. Gong Haoyu was not like Xie Ziwen, who relied on a medicinal pill to temporarily raise his cultivation to half-step martial monarch. A qualitative difference existed between the two. Although it was shocking that Xiao Chen managed to defeat Xie Ziwen, this was definitely possible for the genius who managed to climb to the 8th floor. However, making a move against Gong Haoyu was too crazy. After all, Xiao Chen was too young and had not yet matured. There was still a distance between him and the experts of the older generation. Gong Haoyu remained expressionless as he gently tossed Xie Ziwen to the audience. Then, he landed on the ground. "It looks like I really have become old already. The youths of today are so arrogant. You are the one who challenged me first today. Even if I kill you, the Heavenly Extermination Union cannot do anything about it." Xiao Chen smiled coldly in his heart. This person is truly shameless. If he had not made that threat, I would not have made a move against him. Since they had already fallen out with each other here, there was no need to wait till he went to the Great Jin Nation to settle the matter. Xiao Chen was not a person who was willing to wait for revenge. If Xiao Chen had the chance to deal with the other party now, why would he wait until he entered the other party's territory to deal with him? When Xiao Chen fought with Xie Ziwen, he had used only 60% of his strength. Amongst half-step martial monarchs, there were strong ones and weak ones. This Gong Haoyu was one of the relatively weaker ones. Given Xiao Chen's strength now, he had at least a 50% chance of victory against Gong Haoyu. So he decided to give it a try. "Elder Shi, should we put a stop to this?" a Heavenly Extermination Union elder asked worriedly. Shi Hailong muttered to himself for a long time before remembering what Xiao Chen said to him earlier. He replied, "We will observe first. Xiao Chen should have his own plans. He will not fight a battle he is not confident of winning." "Die!" Gong Haoyu shouted as he emitted his half-step martial monarch aura. His hair and clothes fluttered despite the absence of any wind. Then, he took 7 steps into the air and sent a palm strike at Xiao Chen. This palm strike did not look fancy at all. It merely relied on the advantages of Gong Haoyu's higher cultivation. He wanted to clash head-on with Xiao Chen and show off his might from the start. Xiao Chen changed his grip on his saber to a double-handed grip. Then, he planted his feet in place to face the palm strike with its surging aura. Bang! The palm wind and saber light clashed in the air, setting off a resounding explosion. Ripples appeared in space, spreading everywhere. Gong Haoyu took 5 steps back and Xiao Chen 7. This was not the effect that Gong Haoyu intended. Originally, Gong Haoyu thought that he could suppress Xiao Chen with his palm strike. However, Xiao Chen countered with force, telling him that this was impossible. Soaring 5 mountains. Gong Haoyu's expression became grave. He no longer dared to underestimate Xiao Chen. So, he used the martial technique that was his forte. Gong Haoyu leapt up and 5 mountains of different styles appeared. They linked up, forming a vast mountain range as they pressed towards Xiao Chen. Wukui shakes the heavens. Xiao Chen did not hesitate to continue clashing head-on. A divine Wukui tree appeared and crashed into the 5 mountains with powerful electrical energy. Boom! The mountains shattered and thunder boomed. They exploded in mid-air and a berserk shockwave surged out. Heaven and earth immediately changed colors. Strange reversed peaks. Gong Haoyu shouted ferociously. As his hands moved quickly, the 5 shattered mountains suddenly gathered back together and formed an unusual mountain range. This mountain range was upside down. The tips of the mountains were like sharp knives as they stabbed towards Xiao Chen. Wukui breaks the heavens. Xiao Chen somersaulted in the air, dissipating the force of the earlier attack. Then, he pointed his saber at his opponent. Lightning flickered in the sky as a resplendent beam of light quickly flashed out from his saber. Soon, the beam of light broke through the middle of the upside-down mountain range. Bang! 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 The mountains immediately shattered into countless rocks, falling towards the ground. This was a mysterious phenomenon supported by a state of Earth at its limit. They behaved like real mountains. When the rocks hit the ground, they opened deep pits in the Tianwu Plaza. When the spectating cultivators saw the rocks falling down, they quickly dodged. Given the deep pits in the ground, it was obvious what would have happened if the rocks had landed on their heads. However, the 2 people in the air had no intention of stopping. They sent out killing move after killing move. The air rippled like it was water. The sharp attacks seemed like they would tear space apart. However, Xiao Chen dealt with the moves as they came, breaking every move sent at him. If he could not break them, he would endure resolutely, unafraid of a direct confrontation. The crowd was astonished. They had initially expected a one-sided battle. Who knew that it would be this intense? Xiao Chen did not seem like he was at a disadvantage at all. At this point, no one would dare to claim that Xiao Chen was arrogant. He was indeed holding his own. The 2 exchanged another move. With the support of his saber intent, he forcibly suppressed Gong Haoyu's overwhelming aura. Xiao Chen stood in mid-air as his white robes fluttered in the wind and looked coldly at Gong Haoyu. A pulsating electric light shone in his saber. Gong Haoyu was astounded. He had not expected Xiao Chen to be so hard to deal with. He had sent out killing moves without holding back, yet he still had not been unable to injure his opponent. Gong Haoyu's originally high morale slowly dwindled. He no longer felt as confident as he had been earlier. Xiao Chen removed the blue strip of cloth from his forehead, and his scarlet mark started flashing. He released the state of massacre and merged it with the state of thunder. His originally delicate face now looked strangely demonic with the blue strip of cloth off. The saber also flickered with a strange alternating red and purple light. Ka-ca. The saber light flashed and an intense state of massacre surged out. A sharp killing intent appeared amidst the berserk electricity, easily tearing through Gong Haoyu's palm wind. Shoo! Xiao Chen turned into a streak of purple light. He no longer defended passively. Instead, he headed for Gong Haoyu, sending sharp attacks at him. Taking advantage of the moment when Gong Haoyu's momentum had dropped after a series of failed attacks, Xiao Chen launched a frenetic counterattack. Boom! 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 After Xiao Chen merged his 2 states together, he displayed his full strength. The red and purple light spread through the air, forcing Gong Haoyu to fall back. Retreat! 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 Gao Yangyu clenched his teeth tightly. He wanted to regain his lost momentum and attack, but before he could do so, Xiao Chen would attack even more ferociously. Gao Yangyu continued to back away in the air until his momentum ran dry. At this point, it looked like he would be defeated. "Little bastard, die!" Gao Yangyu burst out with a curse. He no longer had the disposition of an expert. Instead, he frantically tried to counterattack. "It is very unfortunate, but I will not be dying here," Xiao Chen replied calmly. Then, he executed listening to the sword and communicating with it. His saber turned into a heaven-ranked spirit weapon once again. The might of Xiao Chen's counterattack increased, as it swept forward, causing Gao Yangyu to vomit blood and knocking him back. Then, he crashed into the Tianwu Emperor's statue. Fu Si. The statue had a mysterious force protecting it. The already heavily injured Gao Yangyu rebounded so strongly that he vomited another mouthful of blood. He now looked very miserable. Ka Ca. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber in midair and tied the blue strip of cloth back around his forehead. The state of massacre instantly vanished and Xiao Chen's demonically charming face turned delicate once more. He looked coldly at the heavily injured Gao Yangyu before ignoring him. After Xiao Chen withdrew his saber intent, all the sabers that had been drawn into the air fell to the ground with a clatter. When Gao Yangyu saw Xiao Chen sheath his saber, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He pushed off the Tianwu Emperor's statue and quickly moved towards Xiao Chen, intending to perform a sneak attack. "You are seeking death." Xiao Chen snorted coldly as the azure dragon tattoo on his right arm started moving quickly. Using his right hand as a claw, he executed the dragon claw fist. Roar. A resonant dragon roar shook heaven and earth. A huge azure dragon claw appeared around Xiao Chen's right hand. Then, the dragon claw spread wide and pressed down. Ha! Gao Yangyu, who was attempting a sneak attack, slammed into the ground. He had no means of retaliation as Xiao Chen ground his body face down into the dirt. The two people from the Evil Moon Pavilion had arrived in a tyrannical fashion. The crowd seemed to still hear Xie Ziwen's arrogant words of, "Xiao Chen, get out here," resounding in their ears even now. However, in less than 2 hours, the pair of senior and junior was defeated by Xiao Chen's saber. One got beaten into a weak state and his cultivation regressed. The other got planted into the ground in a miserable fashion, and it was unknown whether he was still alive. They had arrived in a powerful show of might but fell into such a situation. This made everyone sigh. Everyone looked the white figure slowly landing. When they saw his calm expression, one word appeared in their hearts: domineering. Although Xiao Chen did not speak in a domineering manner, nor release a tyrannical aura, his actions made everyone feel that he was domineering. This fellow seems to have the shadow of the Thunder Emperor in him. If you are not as strong as me, don't threaten me. I don't care if you are a half-step martial monarch or have a great sect behind you, I will fight you first before saying anything. Now, the four nations might possibly have someone who is comparable to the peak geniuses of the great Jin nation. I look forward to seeing how far he can go in the next 5-nation youth competition. From the looks of today, the fame of the white-robed bladesman is well deserved. It is now truly the era of the youths. The experts of the older generation will have to recognize this. If they still put on airs, throwing their weight around, it might result in a bad ending for them. Indeed, now is the budding period of the era of geniuses. It is best to be careful, so we don't end up being a grindstone for them. The crowd erupted in discussions. Some were awed at Xiao Chen's strength and some of the older generation sighed softly. When they saw Gao Yangyu's miserable end, they became sorrowful. Geniuses appeared in every generation, each wave stronger than the one before. However, this wave seemed to have appeared too fast. In an unremarkable corner among the crowd, there was someone wearing a black hooded cloak. The face hidden within its shadowed depths had a sinister scar on it. This person gave off such an unpleasant sensation that the people nearby unconsciously moved away from him. Some cultivators with sharp eyes recognized this person to be from the dark church. These people moved even farther away, not wishing to have any interaction with him. The scarred man muttered in a soft voice, "I never did manage to find an opportunity to make a move. Now, he has grown this much. However, his cultivation is still somewhat weak." After muttering that, the scarred man gave Xiao Chen a profound look before leaving quietly. Xiao Chen walked over to Shi Heilong and cupped his hands apologetically. "Senior Shi, sorry for causing trouble for the Heavenly Extermination Union." A smile filled Shi Heilong's face. He seemed very happy as he waved off Xiao Chen's apology. "Don't say that. Just remember what I said to you before. The Evil Moon Pavilion will not be able to do anything in the ancient desolate land. Continue to work hard and don't waste the luck you obtained. You will understand in the future how strong the luck from the ancient desolate tower is." Right after Xiao Chen expressed his gratitude again and was about to leave, a few strong auras quickly headed for the Tianwu Plaza. Who? When those people arrived, a vast aura spread throughout the place, pressing on everyone. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. This aura was similar to that of the martial monarchs he had met in the past. Furthermore, they had locked onto him. Oh no! The Evil Moon Pavilion's hidden forces in Desolate City revealed themselves. The expression of an elder beside Shi Heilong changed somewhat. The Heavenly Extermination Union had ruled that the powers of the Great Jin Nation were not allowed to enter Desolate City. However, it would be impossible for the great sects of the Great Jin Nations to not place some people here at all. Otherwise, if anything happened, they would be unaware of it. Shi Heilong's expression sank, but there was no sign of panic in his eyes. He smiled coldly and said, "It's good that they came, we can uproot them completely." Shoo, shoo, shoo. 3 figures with surging auras appeared in the center of the plaza. Everyone immediately felt a strong pressure. The person leading the 3 wore gorgeous blue robes and had a jade thumb ring on his right hand. He looked like a merchant. This person seemed to have rushed over in a hurry. He had not even taken time to change his usual guise. However, when this person saw Gong Haoyu planted into the ground and the very weak Xie Ziwen, he sighed. He was still too late. Kai. A suction force from the blue-robed cultivator pulled Gong Haoyu out of the ground. The blue-robed cultivator placed his finger on Gong Haoyu's wrist to check Gong Haoyu's pulse. To his relief, he was still alive. After that, he casually tossed Gong Haoyu to someone at the side before glaring at Xiao Chen like he wanted to say something. However, he forbore from making a comment in the end. The blue-robed cultivator instructed someone to pick up Xie Ziwen and prepared to take his leave. However, Shi Heilong laughed coldly without saying anything. He looked somewhat playfully at the 3 people. Bang! The 3 people who had risen into the air crashed into a barrier of qi and rebounded strongly, falling to the ground in a somewhat miserable fashion. Bang! 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 The 3 tried again at a different location. Once more, they fell miserably. Regardless of how much essence the 3 used, their efforts were futile. Instead, the more essence they used, the greater the injury they suffered. The 3's expressions changed greatly as they looked around and failed to figure out who was responsible for their predicament. They could not even figure out where that person was. They truly overestimate their capabilities. It is one thing for one half-step martial monarch to come to the Heavenly Extermination Union and behave atrociously. Yet, now they sent 3 martial monarchs. The trial of the ancient desolate tower is a huge matter. The 5 seniors of the Heavenly Extermination Union are definitely here. They just concealed themselves since it is inconvenient for them to show themselves here. If they do not reveal some of their might, this group of people would really think that a few martial monarchs would be able to do as they please in the Heavenly Extermination Union. The many cultivators watching revealed expressions of enjoying a lively scene. they found this situation extremely interesting. The blue-robed cultivator shouted to the sky, "Would Senior please be magnanimous and let us go? From today on, the evil moon pavilion will never set foot in Desolate City ever again." A cold snort came from 7,000 meters in the sky. The crowd could vaguely make out 5 indistinct figures hidden in the boundless clouds. The clouds churned behind them, creating a grand atmosphere. "Scram. I will say this only once. Xiao Chen is under the protection of my heavenly extermination union. We do not care about the conflicts between the younger generation. However, if you do not follow the rules and you send out someone of the older generation, the geniuses of the Evil Moon Pavilion can forget about stepping out of the Great Jin Nation." The voice was not loud, but everyone could hear it clearly, as if spoken directly into their ears. Fu Si. However, it sounded like loud explosions in the ears of the Evil Moon Pavilion's people, each word like a crack of thunder. By the time these words were finished, the Evil Moon Pavilion's people were bleeding from their ears, nose, and mouth. However, they did not show any dissatisfaction. They respectfully gave their thanks and quickly fled the scene. It is good for youths to reveal their sharpness, but remember to refrain from caprice and impatience. Now that you have become famous, do not let your reputation hinder you. Otherwise, not to mention becoming the second Thunder Emperor, you might not even be able to attain a higher level of cultivation. You should know what is good for yourself. That clear voice resounded in Xiao Chen's mind, giving him some warnings before the connection between them ended. The 5 figures vanished into the clouds and disappeared without a trace. As Xiao Chen looked at the person who had spoken, he found him somewhat familiar, like he had seen him before. Elder Shi, who was the mysterious person who forced the Evil Moon Pavilion's people to retreat with his words. Xiao Chen asked Shi Hailong after he turned around. Shi Hailong smiled gently and said, "He is the current Union Chief of our Heavenly Extermination Union. Lad, you are very fortunate. I have never seen the Union Chief openly protect someone like this before." Xiao Chen fell deep into thought. He was now about 80% sure of the identity of that person. There was no such thing as a banquet without an end. All the outstanding talents of the 4 nations had gathered because of the ancient desolate tower. Now that the trial was over, it was time for them to depart. TL note: there was no such thing as a banquet without an end. This is a Chinese version of all good things must come to an end. Xiao Chen, there is still another 1.5 years to the next 5-nation youth competition. We will meet again there and finish our fight. Zuo Mo came forward and said his goodbyes to Xiao Chen with cupped hands. Even though he had seen Xiao Chen's strength, it did not dampen his fighting spirit. Instead, it provided him with a goal and motivated him even further. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "Definitely, we will meet on the Great Jin Nation's Wind Cloud Arena." The people who were on good terms with Xiao Chen all came to congratulate him. He did not put on airs or behave arrogantly. Instead, he treated them politely, reciprocating their respectful gestures. "However anyone treats me, I will treat them in the same manner many times more." This was how Xiao Chen behaved. He would not change it for any reason. More than a month had passed since the trial of the ancient desolate tower ended. The story of how Xiao Chen climbed to the 8th floor of the ancient desolate tower and then defeated the second disciple of the Evil Moon Pavilion's pavilion master and the Evil Moon Pavilion's outer sect elder spread like the cold in Desolate City. Desolate City had existed for 10,000 years and did not lack legends. However, it had been very quiet for the past few thousand years. Something major like this had not happened for a long time. In this 1 month, Xiao Chen was the topic everyone discussed over their meals and tea. The details and history of the 19-year-old bladesman from the Great Qin Nation who comprehended saber intent were dug out. How the Great Qin Nation's outstanding talents as well as people from the Holy Land suffered miserable defeat at Xiao Chen's hands in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. How Xiao Chen had fooled a group of half-step martial monarchs and openly snatched away a peak high-ranked demon core from under their noses. How Xiao Chen gained 100 consecutive victories in the wrestling ring, reducing the powerful Gao Yangyu of the southern islands to bankruptcy. Many such stories made everyone sigh. This person had created legends. Now, many people anticipated how far he would go in the Wind Cloud Arena 1.5 years later. The Great Jin Nation had dominated the top 10 positions for a long time already. Could Xiao Chen represent the 4 nations to break into the top 10 and end this monopoly? Many people also compared him to the geniuses of thousands of years ago, generating intense discussions. As for the main character of these discussions, Xiao Chen had been bothered to the point of frustration in the past month. Xiao Chen finally understood why Desolate City was known as one of the 2 centers of the continent. In the past month, countless sects from the 4 nations extended an olive branch to him, inviting him to join their sects. The benefits they offered grew increasingly larger, even Xiao Chen was dumbfounded at them. They offered many thousand-year-old spirit herbs, unlimited medial-grade spirit stones, and hundreds of superior-grade spirit stones every month. Xiao Chen remained calm, keeping in mind what he wanted. He rejected them all, he only wanted to be able to cultivate in peace. However, even after changing his place of residence several times, Xiao Chen would be found soon after. Everyone approached him with smiling faces and polite gestures. So, he could not lose his temper and had to reject them nicely. In the end, Xiao Chen had no other choice but to use the shapeshifting spell. He quietly found a serene courtyard under such conditions before he could settle down in peace. Xiao Chen spent half a month this way. He used the day to comprehend Bai Shuihei's attack and the saber intent, which he had suddenly formed. Xiao Chen understood that it was hard to form saber intent. However, during the fight, the conditions had felt right. With a thought, his chi had spewed out and formed a saber intent, and an extinguishable sharpness. Then, Xiao Chen would use the night to stabilize his cultivation. After all, he had raised his cultivation vastly within one day. Although there were no side effects to the mysterious light barrier of the ancient desolate tower, his foundations were still unstable. He needed to strengthen them, otherwise, he would not be able to last in a fight. On this particular night, the moon hung high in the sky like a bright silver dish. It shone its light onto the earth, illuminating the courtyard. Xiao Chen sat cross-legged in the bedroom, holding 2 medial-grade spirit stones in each of his hands as he circulated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation's 6th layer. The spiritual energy of the 4 medial-grade spirit stones poured endlessly into the Qi whirlpool before becoming drops of purple liquid. After an hour, the glow of the medial-grade spirit stones dimmed, leaving them as 4 useless rocks. Xiao Chen calmly tossed away the 4 drained medial-grade spirit stones. Then, with a flip of his hand, another 4 medial-grade spirit stones appeared. 4 medial-grade spirit stones in an hour meant 8 for 2 hours. Night consisted of 12 hours, that meant 48 medial-grade spirit stones. TL note: the above paragraph might seem weird in the sense that it bothered to calculate the amount needed for 2 hours. This is because the ancients counted time by 2-hour intervals, and there are 12 2-hour periods in a day. The time periods mentioned in this paragraph are written as half a 2-hour period, 1 2-hour period, and 6 2-hour periods. Such a great expenditure was hard for others to imagine, not to mention having the spirit stones to do this. Even if they did, they would not dare to use them like this. The capacity of their dantians was on a different level from Xiao Chen's. They would not be able to endure that amount of spiritual energy. This was the benefit of a heaven-ranked cultivation technique. This had created a love-hate relationship for heaven-ranked cultivation techniques. See. Suddenly, Xiao Chen felt some heat in the room. He was stunned for a while as he slowly came out of his cultivating state. It is almost midnight, the coldest time of the night. Why would there be any heat? Xiao Chen abruptly opened his eyes and extended his spiritual sense outside. He discovered that the buildings connected to the bedroom were all burning. This was no ordinary fire. Xiao Chen quickly grasped the lunar shadow saber and broke out through the roof, flying out immediately. A person with a sword on his back sat on a wall of the courtyard. He looked at Xiao Chen with a relaxed expression. Shoo! Xiao Chen landed on one of the courtyard's walls and looked suspiciously at the arsonist. Chu Chaoyun, what do you mean by this? Nothing, just calling you out. Xiao Chen was flabbergasted at this answer. Is this how you call someone out? The moment you come over, you set fire to my house. A golden light flashed in Chu Chaoyun's eyes, and the ferocious flames died immediately. They turned into spots of golden light and entered his eyes. It is convenient. I don't even have to say anything. I just have to glare at it. Don't you feel the same? A courtyard was not something worth any frustration for Xiao Chen, so there was no point in lingering on this topic. Xiao Chen directly asked, why are you looking for me? Ha! Chu Chaoyun gently pushed off the courtyard wall with his hand. Then he flew off it and landed above the gates. Do you know that you are going to die soon? Xiao Chen smiled faintly and asked, do you think I will believe you? Chu Chaoyun said, not everybody is happy to see you rise. Those whom you have offended mildly might tolerate you, but not every power would care about the heavenly extermination union. Remember what I said to you before. The title of genius is an illusion. The one with the last laugh is the final winner, the survivor is king. Leave desolate city within 3 days. Otherwise, no one will be able to save you. After Chu Chaoyun said this, he did not bother staying any longer. A sword made of light appeared below him and carried him off into the darkness. Xiao Chen watched Chu Chaoyun leave. His presence had cast a shadow on Xiao Chen's heart. He had already been very careful, yet Chu Chaoyun still found him. If Chu Chaoyun could find Xiao Chen, then the people looking to cause trouble for Xiao Chen could do so as well. It really seemed like he could no longer stay in Desolate City. The spiritual energy within Desolate City was denser than outside. Xiao Chen originally intended to stay longer. However, from the looks of today, he had to leave earlier. Xiao Chen pushed off the wall and immediately left this place. He could only abandon this courtyard. Not long after Xiao Chen left, a few cultivators in black nimbly landed in the courtyard. When they saw the burnt buildings, the leader revealed a look of suspicion. He muttered, this brat is really cautious. We just arrived, but he already burned his house in advance. The news that we bought from the wind-chasing pavilion is wasted. The person beside the leader hid a thick murderous intent in his eyes. He said coldly, he should be leaving Desolate City now. That will make things more convenient for us. The leader smiled and said, City Lord Gao is right. It is too eye-catching if we take action in the city. It is better for us to act outside. Let's go back to our Holy Fire Manor's branch first and discuss the details. Gao Yangyu said indifferently, there is no need. Since I promised to cooperate with you, I will not take action alone. Just send someone to inform me when the time comes. A hint of arrogance could be heard in Gao Yangyu's tone. He did not care about the Holy Fire Manor. After he spoke, he left on his own. Leng Yun looked at the leader and said, Uncle Qin, is this person reliable? What if he stabs us in the back? Old Qin smiled coldly and said, don't worry. Xiao Chen caused him to go bankrupt. He definitely hates Xiao Chen to the bone. Given Xiao Chen's strength now, he will not be able to deal with him alone. He has no other choice but to cooperate with us. Leng Yun said in a somewhat depressed tone, however, this fellow's attitude really puts me in a bad mood. He immediately asked for 50% of the spoils. If father agreed to help us, he would not have such an opportunity. Old Qin smiled and said, just ignore him. After all, He was once an important person in the southern islands. We should give him some face. Old Qin was not interested in the spirit stones on Xiao Chen. He only wanted that peak high-ranked demon core back, to open his sea of consciousness, so he could become a martial monarch. By the time Old Qin became a martial monarch, it would be easy for him to obtain as many spirit stones as he wanted. He was very clear on his priorities. Old Qin believed that it was impossible for this operation to fail. They had 2 half-step martial monarchs, and dozens of superior-grade martial kings. These were enough to guarantee that nothing would go wrong. Early the next morning, Xiao Chen went to a restaurant in Desolate City, intending to have a meal before his departure. Xiao Chen had already decided where to go next. Currently, his state of massacre was still too weak. He wanted to go to the deep-sea battlefield and hone his state of massacre. After that, Xiao Chen would return to the Great Qin nation to settle some things with the Xiao clan before going to the imperial capital. Finally, he will go and participate in the 5-nation youth competition, which was held every 4 years. 1.5 years might look like a lot of time, but given Xiao Chen's plans, it might not be sufficient. Boss, give me another 5 liters of the best wine you have. I'm also running out of thunder ox meat, bring me another half. TL note, the thunder ox is different from the lightning ox mentioned in the early parts of this novel. Xiao Chen had just entered when he heard a bold voice. The thunder ox was a rank 6 spirit beast. Its meat was not only better than regular beef, it had a great texture to it. After one ate it, its fragrance would linger in one's mouth. That was an extremely pleasant sensation. The most important thing was that the flesh of a rank 6 spirit beast contained spiritual energy. Hence, it strengthened the physical body when consumed. There were many benefits, but the price was ridiculously high. One might be able to afford to eat a couple of kilograms daily, but having half a thunder ox in one go was extravagant. Furthermore, from the sound of things, that person had already eaten half a thunder ox before this. Xiao Chen could not help but feel curious, so he looked over. Xiao Chen saw a very stout person at the table beside the window on the 3rd floor. This table seemed larger than the other tables around, and that person was the only one there. He guzzled wine as he tore chunks of flesh off with his teeth. This person looked very contented. Xiao Chen felt that this person looked very familiar, so he took a closer look. Indeed, it was Bai Lixi. Waiter, why are you so slow? This old man is about to die of impatience. If it does not come soon, this old man will be going to another store. Bai Lixi saw Xiao Chen as he was halfway through. He was instantly stunned before becoming startled. He swallowed the meat in his mouth before he chewed it properly. As a result, the meat got stuck in his throat. A pained expression replaced his look of contentment. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Why did this fellow have such a huge reaction when he saw me? There is no reason for that, right? Bai Lixi guzzled down a few more mouthfuls of wine before hitting his chest. The piece of meat lodged in his throat went down, and he relaxed. Brother Xiao, you are here. Come, have a seat. What do you want to eat? It's my treat. Xiao Chen glanced at the table and was stunned. Aside from the rank 6 thunder ox, many other meats of rank 5 and above spirit beasts filled the table. Xiao Chen tore off a piece of deep purple thunder ox flesh and its fragrance assaulted his nose. Then he placed it in his mouth and chewed. Indeed, it was extraordinarily delectable. Bai Lixi revealed a smile as he somewhat tried to curry favor with Xiao Chen. What do you think? Old brother Xiao Chen, this beef is pretty good, right? Although this shop is small, the food here is one of the best in the south side of Desolate City. It tastes good. It is very flavorful. Xiao Chen's expression remained unchanging as he checked out Bai Lixi's get-up. Bai Lixi wore black half-finger gloves. On the surface, they seemed like ordinary leather gloves. However, Xiao Chen detected several complicated talisman scripts within it with his spiritual sense. Looking at the complexity of the talisman scripts, the gloves had to be at least a high-level medial-grade secret treasure. Xiao Chen continued checking upwards and saw a black necklace with talisman scripts and a rhombus-shaped rock on it. It was obvious from one glance that it was not ordinary. Bai Lixi also wore a blue inner vest, which emitted strong spiritual energy, under his outer garments. This inner vest had to be a medial-grade secret treasure at the very least. Then, there were 2 shoulder plates on Bai Lixi's shoulders. When Xiao Chen looked downwards, there were also 2 shin guards on his lower legs. Even the shoes Bai Lixi wore did not seem ordinary. What a fellow! Bai Lixi wore a complete set of medial-grade secret treasures. All these must have cost a lot. Just the items that Xiao Chen saw alone would cost tens of millions of medial-grade spirit stones. However, high-level medial-grade secret treasures were not things that could be bought with spirit stones alone. One would have to spend several million spirit stones in order to establish connections with certain people in order to obtain such items. Xiao Chen thought deeply about all this before smiling faintly and saying, "Old Bai, does your butt still hurt? I did not mean it the last time." Bai Lixi smiled very magnanimously and said, "It's fine, it's just a small matter. I forgot about it long ago. The skin on my butt is very thick, it would not matter even if you kicked me 2 more times." Since when did this fellow become so magnanimous? Something was strange. Xiao Chen put down his wine cup and said in a soft voice, "Tell me the truth. Were you the one who placed a huge bet on me after the all-or-nothing system was established, resulting in Gao Yangyu going bankrupt?" Bai Lixi looked around cautiously, as if he had anticipated that Xiao Chen would ask this question. He said, "It is inconvenient to speak here. Come with me to the booth on the top floor." Dong, dong, dong. Bai Lixi casually tossed a medial-grade spirit stone on the table before quickly leading Xiao Chen to the top floor. He found an isolated booth, entered it, and closed the doors and windows tightly. After making sure no one was listening in, he told Xiao Chen what happened that day in detail. After Xiao Chen heard everything, he still felt rather shocked. Even though he already guessed it, he was still shocked. "You have nerves of steel. I really don't know where you obtained all this courage from." Bai Lixi chuckled. He said, "Since the demon battlefield on Chinran Island, everything I'd seen about you indicated that as long as I follow along, I would be able to obtain many benefits. Furthermore, I trust in your strength. The worst-case scenario is that I would lose and not be able to make a living in the ancient desolate land anymore." After Bai Lixi finished, he said somewhat embarrassedly, "I received some news that Gao Yangyu went to the wind-chasing pavilion several times. It seems like he is asking for your location. That fellow seems bent on killing you before leaving the ancient desolate land forever." Xiao Chen calmly said, "This has nothing to do with you. You don't have to blame yourself for this. Even if he does not come and seek trouble for me, I will go to him. Tell me more about this wind-chasing pavilion." Xiao Chen finally understood why Bai Lixi had such a big reaction. Bai Lixi nodded and said, "I knew that you would not mind. The wind-chasing pavilion is an organization that deals in information. As long as you can afford it, you can obtain any information you want. However, you don't have to worry. Even if you did not find me here, I would have gone looking for you. Likewise, as long as you are willing to spend money, you would be able to evade the eyes of the wind-chasing pavilion. However, it is rather expensive. I already made arrangements, you can leave the city by nightfall." Xiao Chen thought about it carefully. He concluded that Bai Lixi was telling the truth. This restaurant is the nearest one to his courtyard. It seemed that meeting Bai Lixi here was not a coincidence. He shook his head and said, "Let's not make any movements for now. I have a question for you. Together with your set of secret treasures, how strong is your full power strike now?" Bai Lixi chuckled. Clearly, he was very satisfied with his secret treasures. He said, "You are probably aware that there are strong and weak half-step martial monarchs. Normally, we classify half-step martial monarchs into 3 categories: small perfection, great perfection, and consummation, which is just a step away from becoming a martial monarch. With my full power, I am now a peak small perfection half-step martial monarch. I can deal with 5 or 6 small perfection half-step martial monarchs like Gao Yangyu. Xiao Chen felt astonished. He did not expect this fellow to be able to make it big from unexpected luck. As a result, Bai Lixi had managed to get ahead of him in terms of strength. Xiao Chen remembered that he had been about as strong as Bai Lixi when he first came to the ancient desolate tower. Neither could triumph over the other. Xiao Chen worked very hard, risked his life many times, and put in an extraordinary amount of effort before he managed to get to this point. However, when Xiao Chen compared himself to Bai Lixi, the difference became immediately clear. Bai Lixi had easily won a huge amount of spirit stones in a bet. By relying on his set of 10-odd medial-grade secret treasures, his combat prowess surpassed Xiao Chen's. The difference frustrated Xiao Chen greatly. When Bai Lixi saw Xiao Chen's depressed appearance, the smile on his face grew bigger. He seemed insincere as he comforted Xiao Chen, saying, "Little brother, don't overthink this. I am only ahead of you temporarily. However, the path of cultivation is long. In terms of potential, I am not comparable to you." Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. "Never mind, let's not talk about this anymore. You aren't being targeted now, right? Help me make some inquiries, see who the people trying to find news about me are." Startled, Bai Lixi asked, "What are you thinking of doing?" "I already made arrangements. I guarantee that you can leave Desolate City tonight." Xiao Chen said, "Just do what I say. Some gratitude and grudges have to be ended early. Otherwise, it would just result in future problems. Even if one disappeared, one's friends or family might end up being harmed. I do not want to leave any regrets for myself, regrets that would be hard to recover from." Bai Lixi thought about it for a while, but he still disapproved of Xiao Chen's rationale. He said, "Gao Yangyu is not easy to deal with. He became famous very long ago in the southern islands. He has already been a great perfection half-step martial monarch for a long time as well." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "This is precisely the reason why I have to make a move fast. He would be harder to deal with after he becomes a martial monarch." When Bai Lixi saw that Xiao Chen was set on this, he had nothing else to say. Bai Lixi might seem very coarse and straightforward, but he realized that what Xiao Chen said made sense as well. It was just that he worried for him. Xiao Chen left to look for a good room to stay in. Then, he continued to stabilize his cultivation. He was like a divine weapon being forged. Currently, only a rough outline had been formed. A lot more work had to be done before it would become sharp and powerful. After Bai Lixi left, he did not appear for 2 days. So Xiao Chen spent the 2 days in the spacious quarters that he rented. When Bai Lixi showed up, he pushed open the doors to Xiao Chen's suite and sat at the table in the living room. Xiao Chen slowly opened his eyes and then the door of the bedroom. When he saw the somewhat fatigued Bai Lixi, he asked, "Did you manage to get the information?" Bai Lixi took out stacks of paper and said, "Brat, you are really popular. There are many people looking for you. I searched all over the wind-chasing pavilion and found hundreds of such people." Nodding, Xiao Chen thanked him. "You worked very hard. How many spirit stones did you spend? I'll reimburse you." Bai Lixi chuckled. "Don't worry about money. I may lack many things, but money is not one of them. I'll go first. Just holler when you need me. Don't act rashly on your own. I am available at any moment for my brother." He had already guessed what Xiao Chen wanted to do. By saying these words, it was already as good as him helping Xiao Chen. This fellow was rather interesting. There was an entire pile of information on the table. The reports introduced the strength, backing, and personal information of every person searching for Xiao Chen. At the bottom was even some professional evaluation on why these people were searching for him. The detailed information really gave Xiao Chen a lesson. He now understood why he was so easily found. The information broker in desolate city known as Wind Chasing Pavilion was really complex. 4 hours later, Xiao Chen finished looking through all the information on the table. Then, he spent another hour categorizing them. The first group was of no threat, consisting of the relentless big sects trying to extend an olive branch to him. The second group was rather interesting, consisting of youths who wanted to challenge him, to use him to become famous. There were many of them. There was no need to care too much about the first two groups. They had no malicious intentions towards Xiao Chen. As for the third group, this was the danger he had to guard against. The Holy Fire Manor's Qin Yu had spent a large amount 3 times to track down Xiao Chen's location. He had even asked the Wind Chasing Pavilion to keep an eye on his movements, wanting them to inform him when Xiao Chen left the city. Xiao Chen thought back briefly and recalled who this Qin Yu was. He was the Holy Fire Manor's inner sect elder whom he had snatched the peak high-rank demon core from in the demon battlefield. It looks like this fellow is preparing to ambush me when I exit the city. He is also a great perfection half-step martial monarch. He will not be easy to deal with. Xiao Chen continued reading and found Gao Yangyu's records. He had gone to the Wind Chasing Pavilion together with Qin Yu. Xiao Chen frowned. 2 great perfection half-step martial monarchs were working against him. This was going to be hard to deal with. When Xiao Chen looked down and saw the Wind Chasing Pavilion's analysis, his eyes brightened and a smile appeared on his face. Unexpectedly, Gao Yangyu was not staying with the Holy Fire Manor. Xiao Chen felt surprised at such an opportunity. However, there was no report on Chu Chaoyun in the pile of information. This made Xiao Chen suspicious. If this person had not gone through the Wind Chasing Pavilion to find him, then how had he done so? Xiao Chen could not think of an answer to this, so he set this question aside temporarily. After he destroyed the information, he called Bai Lixi over to explain his plan. You want to take the initiative to deal with Gao Yangyu before wiping out the Holy Fire Manor's desolate city branch. When Bai Lixi heard Xiao Chen's plan, he could not help but show a startled expression. Xiao Chen said calmly, "That's right. We can't give Gao Yangyu a chance to work with Qin Yu. Otherwise, we would not stand a chance." Bai Lixi thought for a while before laughing rambunctiously. "Brat, you are really bold. I, old Bai, will give you a hand. That group of people is still waiting for you to leave the city. They will not expect you to take the initiative to attack them. Just tell me what to do." Xiao Chen gave Bai Lixi a deep look and said, "Are you not afraid?" Bai Lixi chuckled and said, "I am a bachelor, I have nothing to fear. Now that the age of geniuses is budding, who exactly will be the main character of this age? I, old Bai, think that it is you. If I am right about this and you are truly the main character of this age, the benefits that I will obtain will be much more than what I invested." The age of geniuses had arrived, a great age was upon everyone. A martial emperor would definitely arise. If one played their cards right, they might be able to gain the friendship of a future martial emperor. This benefit was much better than any natural treasure, spirit core, or miraculous medicine by at least 1,000 or even 10,000 times. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, "I am not too concerned with who the main character is. If you help me, I will definitely remember this favor." After the two finished discussing, Bai Lixi left again. He went to search out Gao Yangyu's residence at all costs while Xiao Chen started his final preparations. Xiao Chen took out the remainder of the Wudong spiritual wood from his universe ring. Then, he closed his eyes and started to review his memories, searching for something worth carving. After a while, the image of a rank 10 frost flood dragon appeared in his mind. Xiao Chen made his choice. Since he was going to do it, he was going to go big. 3 days later, Bai Lixi found where Gao Yangyu was staying. They had finished all their preparations. When night fell, Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi immediately departed. Desolate City was a city built around water. There were countless rivers and lakes within the city. A pavilion sat in the middle of a small lake in the northern part of Desolate City. A small, winding, wooden path extended from the pavilion to the shore. At a hidden area near the lakeside, Xiao Chen said in astonishment, "Who said that this fellow is bankrupt? He is staying alone in such a large house. This is not something many cultivators can do." Bai Lixi smiled embarrassedly and said, "A starving camel is still larger than a fat horse. After all, this fellow had run his business in Wrestling City for quite a long time. He definitely has some reserves." Xiao Chen said indifferently, "Let's go." Bai Lixi took out the huge axe behind him. An expression of disdain flashed on his face as he said, "I will make the first move later." The two withdrew their oars and walked silently on the wooden, winding path, heading for the pavilion at the center of the lake. Break for this old man. When the two were 100 meters away from the pavilion, Bai Lixi suddenly erupted. His huge axe quickly grew larger as he shouted a war cry. Then, he straightforwardly hacked down at the pavilion. Bang! 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 A light flickered above the pavilion, crackling as it crashed against the huge axe. Pillars of water burst out of the lake. Unexpectedly, this pavilion had a simple defensive barrier. However, this did not surprise Bai Lixi. The talisman scripts on his black leather gloves slowly lit up. Break! Bai Lixi shouted again and he used his enlarged axe to hack down once more. Kai! Kai! The barrier broke with a caw-caw sound. The axe hacked down without anything blocking it, chopping the huge pavilion in half. When the huge axe reached the lowest floor, it gave off a metallic clang. When Bai Lixi tried to pull it back, his axe seemed to be stuck. He could not pull it out. Boom! The two halves of the pavilion fell into the lake, revealing Gao Yangyu standing on the water. He emitted a strong aura as he grasped Bai Lixi's axe with one hand. Dang! Gao Yangyu snorted coldly as he smacked the axe head with a palm strike. The axe immediately shrank back to its original size. Bai Lixi could not help but take a few steps back on the winding path. When Gao Yangyu saw Xiao Chen beside Bai Lixi, his gaze instantly turned cold. He had a glacial expression as he said with a chilly tone, "Unexpectedly, you came looking for me when I did not come for you. You really are courageous." Bang! Gao Yangyu stomped heavily on the water. A semicircular wall of water rose up behind him as his figure flashed. He created ripples with his palm, like a gushing waterfall in the night. He directed the might of the waterfall at Xiao Chen. Boom! 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 The sound of the waterfall reverberated in the surroundings, just like a real waterfall. Who? Gao Yangyu's attack had a surging momentum. Xiao Chen chose to dodge to deal with this. He pushed off the path and his figure drifted back. Paw! 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 The unending waterfall in the sky gathered into Gao Yangyu's palm before exploding out. The wooden, winding path under Gao Yangyu's feet instantly shattered and a huge water pillar soared out of the water. Bang! Bai Lixi broke apart the water pillar and crashed his axe down at Gao Yangyu. His attack was not fancy at all, it was just a straightforward attack with horrifying strength. When Bai Lixi attacked with the axe, he tore the air apart as if it were paper. A faint rip appeared. Waves of water came out of Gao Yangyu's right palm, which he kept moving around. All the water attributes spiritual energy quickly gathered over. When the axe arrived before Gao Yangyu, he threw a palm strike that exploded out with surging steam. The huge force sent Bai Lixi flying back for at least 100 meters. Who? The waves crashed and a figure flashed. It was Xiao Chen coming forward to attack. He clenched his right fist tightly as the azure dragon tattoo on his right arm swam around. A loud dragon roar resounded over the lake as a dragon head appeared in front of Xiao Chen's fist. You overestimate yourself. You really dared to attack me first. Gao Yangyu did not appear to be in a panic. He split his attention and moved his essence to send out another palm strike. The dragon head scattered and Xiao Chen tumbled over 3 times in the air, dissipating the force from the palm strike. He turned his left hand into a claw. An azure dragon claw appeared and there was another resounding dragon roar. Gao Yangyu tilted his body to dodge, and then his figure flashed and arrived to the left of Xiao Chen. He moved forward and sent over a palm strike. Roar. The dragon roar continued to resound without end. Xiao Chen clenched his right hand into a fist and merged his vital qi and essence together, clashing head-on against Gao Yangyu. Bang! Fist and palm clashed and the originally calm lake became agitated. Waves soared over 100 meters high from the lake, filling the air with water before falling back down like rain. The previously immovable Gao Yangyu finally moved 3 steps back after this attack. However, Xiao Chen was in an even more miserable state than him. He moved back 10 steps before he could stand stably on the water. Ha! Before Gao Yangyu found his footing, Bai Lixi quickly rushed over on the water. Every step he took contained raw power. When his foot landed, a water pillar would shoot up. Gao Yangyu had a grim expression as he forcibly suppressed the fluctuations in his blood and qi. He sent out 2 palm strikes in rapid succession, the winds howled and the sound of waterfalls roared continuously. The force of the 2 attacks instantly dissipated Bai Lixi's surging attack. Bai Lixi took 2 steps back on the water. He chuckled and said, "Old man, why do you seem weak? Come, receive an attack from my axe. When a tiger comes down to the plains, it would be bullied by dogs." Gao Yangyu raged in his heart. Normally, these 2 people were no match for him. However, when they worked together, there was no time for him to breathe. Instead, he felt a sense of helplessness. He had to deal with one of them first. TL note: when a tiger comes down to the plains, it would be bullied by dogs. This is a Chinese proverb meaning a man who loses position and influence may be subjected to much indignity. Gao Yangyu looked around and made up his mind. He pushed heavily off the water and the lake parted. With air beneath Bai Lixi's feet, he immediately fell downwards, making him feel very depressed. Gao Yangyu ignored what happened to Bai Lixi. He simply snorted coldly and rushed at Xiao Chen with lightning speed. "I was just waiting for you." A dragon head appeared over Xiao Chen's right fist and a dragon claw appeared over his spread left hand. Then, the illusion of an azure dragon appeared behind him. "Merge!" Xiao Chen shouted and the image of a dragon behind him attained consummation. Then, he punched at the approaching Gao Yangyu with his right fist. Roar! The ear-splitting dragon roar resounded throughout the lake. The azure dragon left Xiao Chen and a supreme dragon's might spread over the surface of the lake. Ripples appeared on the lake and turned into huge waves. Gao Yangyu's expression immediately changed as he quickly formed hand seals. Following that, the lake water below him rose into a shield in front of him. The dragon head crashed into the water shield and split it apart. The dragon tail swept across and slammed into Gao Yangyu, sending him flying. "You bastard! How dare you soak this old man in water?" Bai Lixi, who had sunk to the bottom of the lake, broke through the surface of the water and rushed at Gao Yangyu. The black gloves Bai Lixi wore lit up with a blue light, causing an explosive increase in the might of his axe. Boom! Gao Yangyu, who had just suffered an attack, was caught off guard. Bai Lixi's axe slammed him into the water and made him tumble for a long distance before he came to a stop. "Did you really think that I would seek you out if I was only slightly confident?" Xiao Chen said expressionlessly to Gao Yangyu as he walked over to him on the water. When Gao Yangyu sought trouble for Xiao Chen over and over again in Wrestling City, he probably had not expected this sort of a situation to befall him today. Gao Yangyu stood up somewhat miserably and looked at the 2 approaching people. He roared ferociously and rushed at them. Bang! 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 The three started fighting again. There was no doubt that Gao Yangyu was stronger than either of the two. However, Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi were very patient. They did not make any mistakes in their moves as they worked together to wear him down. After one person finished his move, the other person would immediately follow up. They did not give Gao Yangyu any time to catch his breath. As time slowly went by, the internal injuries that Gao Yangyu suppressed grew increasingly severe. Pressure built up inside him. If he could not suppress the internal injuries and let them spurt out, he would be in danger. On the other hand, Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi had the opportunity to take breathers. They did not suffer from any internal injuries in their bodies. As the battle grew fiercer, they pressed Gao Yangyu even more closely. No, I cannot let this continue to drag out. Otherwise, this is where I will meet my end. I really did not expect this brat to be able to grow to such a level within a short 2 months. Gao Yangyu did his best to execute a huge move that caused the waves to surge strongly, knocking the two back. Gao Yangyu wiped blood off the corner of his lips. Then, he smiled coldly. I am indeed not a match for the two of you when you work together. However, you will not be able to stop me from leaving, either. Just wait to suffer my wrath. As long as the green hills are there, one need not worry about firewood. Gao Yangyu was a pragmatic person. He understood that if he left first and worked together with Qin Yu, he would not need to fear the two. TL note. As long as the green hills are there, one need not worry about firewood. This is a Chinese proverb for while there is life, there is hope. This was indeed the case. Given the two's strength, it would be easy for them to defeat Gao Yangyu. However, it would be rather hard for them to kill him. Unless there was a suppressive advantage in terms of strength, it would be very hard to keep Gao Yangyu here. When Xiao Chen saw Gao Yangyu trying to leave, he did not panic. He casually tossed a wooden sculpture into the lake and formed hand seals. Life bestowal spell. Bang! Xiao Chen shouted and a huge whirlpool appeared in the center of the lake. All the water in the lake poured towards the whirlpool. A dragon roar came from within the whirlpool as a flood dragon broke through the water. A waterspout soared up together with the flood dragon. At this moment, Gao Yangyu sensed that something was wrong. So, he turned back to take a look. Gao Yangyu saw a 200-meter-long frost flood dragon barely a meter behind him. Its huge dragon head was right before him. Ha! Before Gao Yangyu could react, the frost flood dragon shot out a strand of cold qi at him. The cold qi caused ice to visibly form as it traveled through the air before crashing into Gao Yangyu's chest. All the internal injuries he had been suppressing erupted out. Hu si. Gao Yangyu vomited a large mouthful of blood as he crashed on the water like a broken kite. After the frost flood dragon sent out the attack, Xiao Chen quickly cancelled the spell. A wooden sculpture fell down and he pulled it over with a suction force. Cracks appeared on the wooden sculpture. It looked like it would shatter at any moment. Xiao Chen frowned and said, "It seems that using the Wudong spiritual wood to create a rank 10 flood dragon was expecting too much. I can probably use this only one more time. Xiao Chen, how should we deal with this fellow?" Bai Lixi asked as he picked up the heavily injured Gao Yangyu like a toy and walked over to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen put away the wooden sculpture. Then, he glanced at Gao Yangyu's horrified expression before pointing at Gao Yangyu's forehead. A clump of purple flames shot out and a bloody hole appeared in Gao Yangyu's head. Then, his body turned limp and fell down. Xiao Chen extracted Gao Yangyu's spatial ring and tossed it to Bai Lixi before casually saying, "Let's go. Let's head for the Holy Fire Manor's branch." The Holy Fire Manor was considered a strong power in the southern islands. It had 2 martial monarchs, the Manor Lord and a Supreme Elder, there. With 2 bona fide martial monarchs holding down the fort, plus 12 half-step martial monarchs, they were indeed a rather strong faction within the southern islands. However, against the backdrop of the entire ancient desolate land, this small amount of strength did not amount to much. This was quite clear from the Holy Fire Manor's desolate city branch. When comparing the land occupied by the desolate city branches of the Holy Fire Manor and the Thousand Sword Pavilion, the Holy Fire Manor's was inferior. Although the Holy Fire Manor had all the necessities and facilities like water features, fake mountains, pavilions, gazebos, and flower gardens, they were much smaller in size. When seen from the sky, all these buildings and features looked cramped. At a quiet side hall with plain decorations in the courtyard, Leng Yun and Qin Yu sat at a tea table, idly playing chess. There were a total of 15 lamps at the side. The 15 flames swayed gently, illuminating the hall brightly. Uncle Qin, that fellow has been hiding in the restaurant. Is he not thinking of leaving Desolate City? Old Qin smiled faintly as he made his move on the chessboard. Then, he said, Xiao Yun, be more patient. Although we have the Shrouding Cloud Talisman and can avoid the attention of martial sages, it is still too eye-catching if we make a move in Desolate City. We will let him live for a few more days. Leng Yun glanced at the chaotic chessboard and said frustratedly, this fellow snatched away my extreme yin origin flame. If father hears about it, he will strip me of my status as heir. Every day that I do not retrieve my origin flame is a day I cannot rest in peace. However, Qin Yu laughed coldly in his heart. Who asked you to get so greedy over the peak high-rank demon core? If you do not have the capability to do so, then don't interfere. This is called retribution, this serves you right. Even though Qin Yu thought all these, his expression did not change. He smiled and said, young manor lord, rest assured. If Xiao Chen does not leave the city in another half-month, we will contact Gao Yangyu and forcibly kill him. Given our strengths, it should not be difficult for us to deal with him if we work together. Is that so? Suddenly, cold laughter resounded in the hall. The flames in the 15 lamps flickered wildly as Killing Chi appeared. Qin Yu's expression changed as he looked outside the door. He said, don't you know where this is? How dare you cause trouble here? At the same time, Qin Yu used his right hand to instruct Leng Yun to go out the back door to call the others over. Don't bother calling the others. You are the only two left in this courtyard. Bang, bang, bang. Bodies flew over with a surging force, smashing the doors of the side hall into dust before landing heavily in front of the two. These bodies seemed to be dead, there were bloody holes in their foreheads and their eyes remained opened. They died without knowing why. When Leng Yun and Qin Yu saw the familiar corpses on the ground, their hearts immediately sank. Who is this powerful? Unexpectedly, that person was able to quietly kill all the guards in the courtyard in a short period of time. Dong, dong, dong. Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi walked in with high spirits. They glared coldly at the two. It's you. Qin Yu's pupils contracted in extreme shock. He had not expected Xiao Chen to take the initiative to come to him even though he had not sought Xiao Chen out. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. Old Qin, we meet again. Qin Yu remained expressionless as he said, good. Instead of living well for another few days, you dared to deliver yourself to me. This saves me the trouble of going to you. Bai Lixi tossed out Gao Yangyu's corpse and said, Gao Yangyu also said the same thing earlier. Unfortunately, he is now dead. The moment Gao Yangyu's corpse appeared, Leng Yun's complexion paled. Even the previously calm Qin Yu had an unnatural expression. Uncle Qin, hold the fort for a while. I'll go and look for help. When Leng Yun saw that the situation was bad, he tried to slip away. He quickly headed for the back door. Bang! Just as Leng Yun arrived before the door, a stout figure blocked his way. Bai Lixi smiled and said, why are you running away? Let me exchange a few moves with you first. Qin Yu saw an opportunity in Bai Lixi's leaving Xiao Chen's side. So he made his move at lightning speed. A pale white flame appeared above his palm, and the surrounding air instantly turned cold. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. Unexpectedly, this person has the extreme yin flame as well. If I can snatch it away, my lunar true flame could become stronger. Even though Xiao Chen was thinking, the speed of his hands did not slow down. He continued to send a palm strike forward. This palm strike was infused with purple, pure yang attributed flames. Bang! Yin and yang opposed each other. The instant the attacks collided, a huge explosion generated a surge of shock waves. Half the side hall disappeared. The shock waves struck Bai Lixi and Leng Yun, who were fighting, knocking them back by several steps. Leng Yun was in worse condition. His complexion was pale and blood leaked out the corner of his mouth. Old Qin did not seem too bothered. He stabilized his footing and rushed at Xiao Chen again, intending to deal with him in the shortest amount of time possible. Xiao Chen responded calmly. He did not panic at all. After exchanging several dozen moves, he was only forced back by almost 100 meters. However, he did not suffer from any major injuries. Qin Yu felt very depressed. He remembered that just a few months ago, he could squish Xiao Chen like an ant. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen managed to grow to such an extent in the meantime. After 10 moves, Xiao Chen had not lost yet. Xiao Chen glanced over and saw that Bai Lixi and Leng Yun's battle was close to the end. His expression relaxed and he stopped clashing head-on with Qin Yu. All he had to do now was drag things out and prevent him from leaving. After a while, there was a miserable cry. It was Leng Yun dying at Bai Lixi's hands. This was within Xiao Chen's expectations. Given Bai Lixi's strength as a half-step martial monarch, Leng Yun had already done very well by lasting this long. Retreat. After Leng Yun's death, Qin Yu pushed Xiao Chen back with an attack. Then, he retreated decisively, intending to leave this place. Thinking of leaving, it's not that easy. If Xiao Chen allowed this person to leave and inform the headquarters of the Holy Fire Manor, it would be bad for him. If the two martial monarchs made a move, they would be a great threat to Bai Lixi and him. Ka Ca. Xiao Chen drew the lunar shadow saber hanging at his waist. A sharp saber intent surged out and a resplendent purple saber chi blocked Qin Yu's path of escape. Dang! Bai Lixi's attack followed closely. With the two working together, Qin Yu's path of escape was sealed. The rest of the battle was not very suspenseful. Qin Yu was significantly weaker than Gao Yangyu. How could he be a match for the two of them? After another hour, Xiao Chen slashed Qin Yu's throat before extracting the extreme yin origin flame. Then, he and Bai Lixi quickly left the scene. As per Xiao Chen's plan, the two left Desolate City by nightfall. They traveled for 5 kilometers before they stopped. Above the heavenly extermination lake, Xiao Chen said gratefully to Bai Lixi, "Thank you for helping me. If it were not for you, this operation would not be that successful." Without Bai Lixi's help, Xiao Chen would definitely not have been able to easily deal with these two potential dangers, be it Gao Yangyu or Qin Yu. Even if Xiao Chen used his trump card and obtained the final victory, he would still have suffered significant internal injuries. It would not have turned out the way it did where they only exhausted some essence and did not suffer from any significant injuries. Bai Lixi chuckled and said, "I found it rather exciting. You also gave me all the spoils from the two half-step martial monarchs. We are now even." "That's right, what are your future plans?" Bai Lixi asked Xiao Chen after a pause. Xiao Chen said honestly, "I intend to go to the deep-sea battlefield, to temper myself there and make my killing chi denser." Xiao Chen obtained his state of massacre from the Scarlet Throne. In the end, it did not belong to him. It felt off when he used it. So, this deep-sea battlefield was a place that he had to go to. Bai Lixi laughed and said, "What a coincidence, I am going to the deep-sea battlefield too. The East Shallow Seas 3rd grade battlefield is about to start. I was planning to go with some friends. If you do not mind, you can come with us." Xiao Chen felt slightly stunned. Such a coincidence. Bai Lixi smiled as he said, "If not for the deep-sea battlefield, why do you think I bought so many secret treasures?" Xiao Chen thought about it for a while before accepting the invitation. He did not know a lot about the place. If he went with Bai Lixi, he would be able to save himself a lot of trouble. Easternmost harbor city of the Great Chu Nation. Many merchant ships moved in and out of the busy harbor. Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi stood at the harbor, but they were in no rush to board a ship. The East Shallow Sea naturally lay to the east of the continent. If they wanted to save themselves some time, they could only go to the Great Chu Nation, which was in the eastern region of the continent. After leaving Desolate City, Xiao Chen and Bai Lixi traveled at full speed for 7 days and nights to reach this harbor. Bai Lixi, speaking of which, who exactly is your friend? You have not been willing to tell me who he is. Is there a need to be so mysterious? After leaving the ancient desolate land, the two relaxed. No matter how strong the holy fire manor was, they would not be able to extend their reach to the Great Chu Nation. As they chatted, they did not have any worries. Bai Lixi smiled and said, "You will know when he arrives, and it will be a pleasant surprise." Despite asking Bai Lixi a few times, Xiao Chen always received the same answer. So Xiao Chen could only leave it be. However, Bai Lixi had whetted Xiao Chen's curiosity. What kind of person could give him a pleasant surprise? Last time, 10 of us went to the battlefield but only 2 of us survived, Bai Lixi said after a long sigh. Xiao Chen asked, "What exactly is the deep-sea battlefield like? Can you tell me more in detail?" Bai Lixi muttered, "I suppose it is time to tell you. Demons continuously come out of the boundless sea's spatial crack at every moment. Demons are separated by ranks. Like humans, those with similar strengths gather together, in the same way that martial monarchs normally do not mix with martial saints. The powers of the boundless sea categorize the zones where the demons are active into 6 grades, based on the different strengths of the demons. Once the number of demons in a certain zone reaches a certain level, they gather the cultivators of the world to deal with it." Xiao Chen thought about it for a while and understood what he meant. Then, Xiao Chen asked, "Has the 6th grade battlefield ever been started?" Bai Lixi smiled and replied, "It is best that it does not start. Once this peak grade battlefield starts, all the martial sages of the world will have to rush over. Furthermore, based on historical experience, once a 6th grade battlefield starts, we would not be far from a demonic calamity." Dong, dong, dong. Just at this moment, soft footsteps came from behind the two. Bai Lixi did not even turn around to look before smiling and saying, "The person we are waiting for is here." Xiao Chen turned his head and saw a figure in green with fluttering long hair. He had exquisite facial features and gave off a certain sharpness. The bloody bladesman Sun Guangquan. When Xiao Chen saw who it was, he exclaimed in surprise. Sun Guangquan was one of the ancient desolate land's 10 great bladesmen. He had comprehended saber intent many years ago. As for how strong he was, rumors said that no one under martial monarch could defeat him. Back on Chinran Island, Xiao Chen had not seen Sun Guangquan fight, but he could sense Sun Guangquan's strength. His instinct as a bladesman said that Sun Guangquan was much stronger than other people. Xiao Chen had not expected the friend that Bai Lixi talked about to be Sun Guangquan. Indeed, it was a pleasant surprise for him. The other party had comprehended saber intent many years ago. As for Xiao Chen, he had only recently comprehended saber intent. If this person gave him some pointers, he would definitely improve rapidly. Sun Guangquan measured up Xiao Chen with a glance and immediately sensed the buzzing saber intent in Xiao Chen's body. He was slightly stunned when he guessed Xiao Chen's identity. Bai Lixi smiled and said, "Old Sun, you must have heard of the name Xiao Chen before, right? He will be coming with us to the deep-sea battlefield this time." Sun Guangquan nodded and said softly, "In the world of bladesmen, who does not know of the white-robed bladesman? Xiao Chen smiled in embarrassment. How could I dare call myself a bladesman before senior son? When Sun Guangquan heard what Xiao Chen said, he waved it off with a smile. Don't call me senior, I'm not worthy of that. Our strengths are quite close to each other's. Let's just treat each other as equals. If you do not mind, just call me like old Sun, like old Bai does. The bloody bladesman Sun Guangquan was a true bladesman, yet he was so humble about it. This humility increased Xiao Chen's already favorable impression of Sun Guangquan. So he no longer restrained himself, saying, "Elder brother Sun, you are too polite." When Bai Lixi saw the exchange between the two, he smiled and said, "I say, the two of you, stop being so polite with each other. Quickly get on the ship, or else we will have to wait another day." The merchant ship set out on its journey to the distant ocean, to the true depths of the boundless sea. The three now started on their long journey. Even if the sea currents were helping them, they would take at least a month to reach the true East Shallow Sea. Naturally, Xiao Chen could not waste so much time. Aside from his regular cultivation, he would go to Sun Guangquan to get some pointers on the saber from him every day. As a senior, Sun Guangquan did not withhold any information. He answered all of Xiao Chen's questions in detail. As for some things that Sun Guangquan was not very sure on, he would discuss them thoroughly with Xiao Chen before they came to a conclusion together. When the two had nothing to do, they would exchange moves together. With such a senior, Xiao Chen benefited a lot from this. Using this opportunity, Xiao Chen started to practice the four-season saber technique that Bai Shui passed down to him. Back in the ancient desolate tower, the spot of light Bai Shui sent into Xiao Chen's forehead was the four-season saber technique. The four-season saber technique was a peak superior grade earth-ranked saber technique, like the Wukui saber technique. However, it placed more focus on states rather than form. It was much harder to comprehend than the Wukui saber technique. While Xiao Chen exchanged moves with Sun Guangquan, he continuously polished his four-season saber technique. As a bladesman himself, Sun Guangquan could keenly sense the deficiencies of Xiao Chen's saber technique. After traveling for many days, they were now quite close to the East Shallow Sea. On this particular day, the three had gathered together and started chatting with each other. Xiao Chen asked, "Elder brother Sun, I have some questions. Why do people call you the bloody bladesman, and what's with the 10 great bladesmen of the ancient desolate land? Why had I not heard anyone mention that in Desolate City?" Sun Guangquan could not help smiling. The 10 great bladesmen of the ancient desolate land was a name from many years ago. Everyone knew themselves very well, so now that we are seeing so many geniuses and are ushering in the era of geniuses, we are all keeping a very low profile. We are afraid that if we are not careful, we will become stepping stones. Bai Lixi followed up, "This is true. The experts of the older generation who are famous have mostly entered into closed-door cultivation. Those famous people from the past, like the 4 great swordsmen or the 4 great spearmen, no one mentions them anymore." Xiao Chen had not expected there to be such a reason. He could not help but feel embarrassed. Sun Guangquan laughed and said, "I'm not talking about you. In fact, I don't like how some of these old-timers rely on their past reputation to bully others, not daring to face the truth. If they get embarrassed by others or become a stepping stone, it serves them right. When I was young, I did not do any of such things. As for why I am called the bloody bladesman." Just when Sun Guangquan was about to explain, the merchant ship suddenly came to a full stop. Naturally, when the merchant ship came to an abrupt stop, the three of them were not affected. However, the same could not be said for the things in the cabin. Those all fell to the floor in a clatter. Some porcelain items even shattered. Bai Lixi said suspiciously, "Odd, why did the ship stop so suddenly?" "Let's go out and take a look," Sun Guangquan suggested. Dong, dong, dong. Just as the three of them were about to go out, an urgent knocking came from the door, which was then opened. An attendant said, "The three of you are cultivators, right? Please quickly gather on the deck." Xiao Chen asked, "What happened? Did we run into pirates?" The attendant squeezed out an ugly smile and said, "It's something even more problematic than pirates. It's the Black Dragon Group's fleet." The Black Dragon Group. Bai Lixi and Sun Guangquan could not help but exchange looks. Could it be that they want us to help resist the Black Dragon Group? This is rather difficult. The attendant said, "No, it is the request of the Black Dragon Group. They want all the cultivators preparing to participate in the third-grade battlefield to gather on the deck." The Black Dragon Group was the strongest power in the Boundless Sea. Their fleet was spread throughout all four corners of the Boundless Sea. 5,000 years ago, the Black Dragon Group had a huge war with the Eastern Sea's Divine Dragon Palace, resulting in the former occupying half of the islands of the East Shallow Sea and becoming the tyrant of the Boundless Sea. One had to know that the Divine Dragon Palace was very powerful back then. They were recognized as the leader of the major powers of the four shallow seas. The old Dragon King had great prestige and countless sects in the four shallow seas would respond to his call. However, the Divine Dragon Palace still lost in the end. The old Dragon King died in the war and the four shallow seas no longer had a leader. The Black Dragon Group had pulled down the top power and become the tyrant of the four seas from an outer sea power, monopolizing all the marine trade routes. On the way to the deck, Bai Lixi gave Xiao Chen a brief explanation of some of the matters regarding the Black Dragon Group, which stirred Xiao Chen's anxiety. Xiao Chen had not expected the distant Boundless Sea to have such a huge power like the Black Dragon Group. He had never heard of them before in the continent. Sun Guangquan said, "However, the Divine Dragon Palace has become a lot stronger than they were in the past. Now, the Black Dragon Group does not have a stronghold over the East Shallow Sea anymore. So don't overthink this. Let's go to the deck first and see what they are planning." Hundreds of cultivators already stood on the vast deck of the merchant ship. Their cultivations were not low, the weakest was a superior grade Martial King. Xiao Chen looked through the crowd and even found 3 half-step martial monarchs. 6 black warships waited in front of the merchant ship. The warships had their cannon ports open and ancient demonic energy cannons peeking out, glistering with a cold light. An ancient demonic energy cannon was very strong. If it were charged with an inferior grade spirit stone, one shot could heavily injure martial saints. If charged with medial grade spirit stones, it could heavily injure inferior grade martial kings easily. If it were charged with superior grade spirit stones, even martial monarchs would have to be careful not to face the shot head-on. Under the threat of several dozen ancient demonic energy cannons, the many cultivators on the deck all looked cautious, they did not dare to relax. Dong, dong, dong. Just at this moment, footsteps sounded from the hold of the ship, another cultivator came out. When Xiao Chen looked back, he saw that this person had an exquisite and curvaceous body clad in black armor and 2 short swords on her back. She wore a half-face mask covering her face. This person's black pupils looked very deep and mysterious. Unexpectedly, Shifeng was on board as well. Xiao Chen had always been rather curious about this person. He wanted to know why she knew the 9 secret techniques of Qingyan Peak. However, when Xiao Chen saw the unapproachable aura she radiated, he gave up on thoughts of greeting her. Shoo! With everyone gathered together, 5 cultivators wearing black leather battle armor flew over from the black warships. Their auras were very dense and the person leading them was powerful. He was a half-step martial monarch. That person had a handsome face, short hair, and spirited eyes. He looked very capable. He smiled faintly at the crowd and said, "Let me introduce myself. I am an insignificant captain of the Black Dragon Group's 9th Corps. My name is Jian Chenin." A half-step martial monarch present said impatiently, "Just get to the point, tell us why you stopped us here. Don't bother with this nonsense." Despite being interrupted, Jian Chenin was not angry. He continued, "It's nothing urgent or major. Don't you all want to go to the third-grade battlefield for your experiential training? You will be able to participate through my Black Dragon group as well. Furthermore, we offer at least double the reward of the Divine Dragon Palace." The moment Jian Chenin finished, discussions broke out in the crowd. Double the reward was rather tempting. However, some of the people who had been to the deep-sea battlefield laughed coldly to themselves without changing their expressions. Bai Lixi said softly, "Don't listen to him. The main borders of the third-grade battlefield are controlled by the Divine Dragon Palace. The Black Dragon Group only controls a small portion. Furthermore, they are not the main areas where the demons are active. No matter how high the reward is, it is useless." Jian Chenin continued, "As long as you agree to go with us, we will immediately give you 10,000 medial-grade spirit stones. When you return, we will give you another 100,000. Those who kill more demons will even receive a higher reward." The crowd immediately became restless. Some of the first-timers to the Boundless Sea were tempted. 10,000 medial-grade spirit stones were not a small sum. After the whole thing ended, they could even obtain at least 100,000 medial-grade spirit stones. Adding in what they would earn inside, if they did not die, it would be a large income. "I am willing to go." Immediately, a first-timer to the Boundless Sea thought about it and found it profitable. So he agreed. Jian Chenin instantly took out several boxes of spirit stones and handed them to the other party. He smiled and said, "You made the right decision. Come aboard our ship." That person counted the spirit stones and revealed a happy smile before jumping over to a warship. "I am willing too. I am willing." Seeing that someone had really obtained spirit stones, the number of people who agreed increased. Soon, most of the people left the ship. Only about 10 people who were aware of the situation did not move. Most of these people were peak superior grade martial kings. Some were half-step martial monarchs like Sun Guangquan. 10,000 medial grade spirit stones were not enough to move them. What they sought was real experiential training, to put themselves in life or death situations. Only when their lives were in peril would their potential be unleashed and their cultivation increase. This Black Dragon group could not satisfy this demand. After everyone else went over to the Black Dragon group's warships, Jian Chenin looked at the remaining cultivators and said, "Thank you, everyone, for not causing any trouble. You are the true elites. You are also very clear on the situation of the deep-sea battlefield. Your treatment will be more than double that of the previous group of people." Bai Lixi mocked, "What do you mean? You speak as if we have agreed. I don't seem to recall saying that we will go with you." Sun Guangquan quietly sent a voice transmission to Xiao Chen, "Prepare to abandon ship and head towards the west. That is a region that the Divine Dragon Palace controls. Do not sink into the water, there are sea monsters there that are hard to deal with." Xiao Chen's heart sank. It seemed that he would be caught in the struggles between two peak powers in this experiential training. Another half-step martial monarch said, "It is not like your Black Dragon group has complete control over the Boundless Sea. When we arrive at the Divine Dragon Palace's territory, you will not be able to do anything to us." Jian Chenin's expression sank as he smiled coldly. "You think you can get there? This is all I will say. If you want to go, you will go. Even if you do not want to go, you will still go. Go." The remaining people on the deck were decisive people. When they saw that the situation was irreconcilable, they did not hesitate to abandon ship and flee quickly. Xiao Chen also flew towards the west right away. His figure flickered and in a few breaths, he had moved 1,000 meters. Jian Chenin's expression remained calm. He was not too surprised. He returned to his warship and waved his hand. "Kill them all, leave none alive." Boom. The ancient demonic energy cannons on the warships were already charged with spirit stones. Light instantly exploded out and a horrifying spirit energy poured forth in the form of resplendent beams of light heading for the fleeing cultivators. Xiao Chen had kept his spiritual sense extended. He instantly felt 10 beams of lights coming towards him. If these beams of light struck him, he would be heavily injured or die. A bolt of lightning flashed. Xiao Chen used lightning evasion to move 100 meters instantly. Miserable cries resounded. In an instant, 4 or 5 peak superior grade martial kings fell. Boom, boom, boom. Before the group had time to think, the 6 warships rose into the sky and fired their cannons again. The remaining people used cloning techniques to reduce the number of shots being fired at them. Some directly clashed head-on with the energy shells, weakening the might of the energy shells. Some used exquisite movement techniques to dodge. However, the 6 warships chased them in an unhurried manner, like venomous snakes, intent on sending them all to their deaths. When the cultivators dealt with the energy shells, they would end up slowing down. The distance between them and the warships narrowed. Sun Guangquan said to Xiao Chen, "Let's split up. Old Bai and I have our ways of protecting ourselves. We will try to gather together afterwards." Xiao Chen nodded to indicate his agreement. This was all they could do for now. If they remained together, they would present a bigger target. Kai. The 6 warships, for a total of 60 ancient demonic energy cannons, never stopped firing. Xiao Chen executed the Azure Dragon Cloud soaring art to its limit, twisting and moving about in the sky. Whether flying or firing the ancient demonic energy cannons, the warships would have to exhaust a large amount of spirit stones. The warships would not chase after them endlessly. All the cultivators had to do was persevere till the end, and they would be able to shake off the pursuit. However, this was easy to say but difficult to accomplish. From the original 10-odd people, they were now left with only 7 or 8. At this moment, the difference between the half-step martial monarchs and the rest was clearly visible. The 3 half-step martial monarchs were at the very front. As long as they persevered a while longer, they would escape the range of the energy shells. What Xiao Chen found even more flabbergasting was Bai Lixi. This fellow relied on his physical body's powerful defense and the 5 or 6 secret treasures on him to totally ignore the energy shells. He endured a few attacks and was in front of everyone else. Xiao Chen's chest tightened. If these people got out of range, the cannons would focus on him and the other weaker cultivators, making their situation even more difficult. I cannot drag this out. I have to use my trump cards. Otherwise, I will not even have the opportunity to use them. After Xiao Chen made up his mind, he no longer hesitated. A silver warship came out of his right eye and he quickly boarded at lightning speed. Bang! Bang! A few beams of light immediately struck the silver warship, shaking it heavily. Xiao Chen stomped down, stabilized the ship, and quickly flew towards the west. With the warship to take the attacks for him, Xiao Chen no longer had to worry. There was no need for him to dodge. So his speed increased. However, the silver warship did not have any defensive formations. It would not last long. Soon, cracks appeared on it. Xiao Chen did not care about the cracks on the ship. He simply pressed on, rushing away at full speed. The formations on the blood flame shoes started to glow. Its secret technique was ready for activation. Bang! Finally, the silver warship could no longer endure. It shattered into countless spots of lights before returning to Xiao Chen's right eye. Xiao Chen did not panic at all. The instant the warship shattered, he activated the secret technique of the blood flame shoes. His speed instantly rocketed to Mach 4. Xiao Chen turned into a purple beam of light and moved far away in a flash, leaving the energy shells targeting him far behind. In another 500 meters, Xiao Chen would be out of range for the ancient demonic energy cannons. However, he had now attracted a lot of attention. Furthermore, the half-step martial monarchs had already fled out of the range of the cannons. The next wave of attacks would be more ferocious than before. It's time to go for broke and risk everything. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave as he placed his right hand on the hilt of his saber. He closed his eyes and used his spiritual sense to locate all the beams of light targeting him. Xiao Chen focused himself. His state of thunder and saber intent quietly brewed. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and shouted, "Break!" The lunar shadow saber turned into a bolt of lightning as it left its scabbard. It was like Xiao Chen had grown eyes behind his head. He attacked 12 times, sending purple saber chi infused with the boundless saber intent and state of thunder at the resplendent beams of light. Bang! 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 Intense explosions resounded in the air. Shock waves surged and space fluctuated. Xiao Chen expended 3/4 of his essence on these 12 attacks. This was the strongest attack he could burst forth within one breath. After he finished the 12 attacks, he seemed drained. Sweat poured out of his forehead. However, the 9 powerful beams of light heading for him were forcibly blocked. Back on the deck of the Black Dragon Group's flagship, Jian Chenin saw the white figure breaking the 9 energy shells from the ancient demonic energy cannons. Astonishment filled his face. This was the first time Jian Chenin saw such a young person explode out with such strength in such a short span of time. Even the people from the older generations found this feat difficult to do. Even if they had dense essence, if their explosive force was not strong enough, they might not be capable of it. When Jian Chenin saw that Xiao Chen managed to escape the range of the cannons, he asked the cultivators from the Tianwu continent, "Who is this person? Do you know him? He seems to the great Qin nation's white-robed bladesman. However, I am not sure if that is him." "It is hard to be certain," someone said softly. "The white-robed bladesman." Jian Chenin frowned and shook his head. "I hope he is just an ordinary genius. Otherwise, it would be problematic if we happened to let such a genius escape." Xiao Chen sat on the surface of the vast sea. All he saw was surging waves. As he sat there, he let the waves push him forward. Xiao Chen held 4 medial-grade spirit stones in his hands as he quickly restored his exhausted essence. He had exhausted too much essence earlier and had to replenish it as soon as possible. The boundless sea might look very calm and void of danger, but he could end up in the belly of a ferocious sea monster at any moment. After 1 hour, Xiao Chen completely drained the 4 medial-grade spirit stones. He managed to barely replenish half his essence. However, that was sufficient for self-protection. Xiao Chen tossed away the drained spirit stones and looked down into the sea. The deep-sea waters could not obstruct his vision. Xiao Chen saw strange black fish at a depth of over 100 meters. They were about the size of his palm and covered in sharp scales. There were so many. Xiao Chen was flabbergasted. A rough count came to at least 1,000. No wonder Sun Guangquan specially reminded him not to enter the water. While Xiao Chen could have avoided the cannon shots that way, he would probably have died even faster under the jaws of these strange fish. Xiao Chen stood up and studied his surroundings. The earlier chaos had separated him from Bai Lixi and Sun Guangquan. Xiao Chen withdrew his gaze and realized he faced a huge difficulty. On this vast sea, every direction looked the same. No matter what direction he faced, he saw only boundless water. The sky was currently dark, the sun hidden. There was nothing illuminating the sky, so he could not determine his direction. Xiao Chen revealed a helpless smile. Even though he managed to survive a major attack, he was stumped by this small problem. Since he could not tell direction, it was best for him to stay put, to avoid going in the wrong direction. He intended to wait until it was night to see the stars, so he could use them to orient himself. All Xiao Chen had to do was wait for a few hours. There was no need to panic. He could do nothing now, but there was no need to waste this time. So, he pulled out the lunar shadow saber and quietly practiced the 4-season saber technique. The four-season saber technique had only 5 moves: spring, summer, autumn, winter, and the cycle of seasons. However, each move had a lot of variations, there was nothing fixed. The moves depended on each individual's understanding. The various scenes of the 4 seasons would be infused into their saber techniques, creating their own unique mysterious phenomena. For example, Bai Shuiyi comprehended the concept of relative warmth from the waters of spring. The corresponding state would be water. However, Xiao Chen comprehended the thunder of spring. First clap of spring thunder, 10,000 beasts cry out. In Xiao Chen's original world, people called the first clap of thunder in spring as spring thunder. During the long winter, the beasts of the world entered hibernation. This spring thunder was the alarm clock that woke all the beasts up. After a long and silent winter, when the spring thunder roared, all the beasts cried out to announce that spring had arrived. This was the state Xiao Chen comprehended from this move, the state of spring thunder. Calling out to 10,000 beasts to cry out, winter had ended and spring had arrived. The natural cycle cannot be stopped. As for summer, autumn, and winter, Xiao Chen was still thinking about them. He did not have any concepts about them yet. Sun Guangquan had given him many suggestions, helping Xiao Chen broaden his mind and become more cautious. Xiao Chen continuously tried to perfect this move on the calm sea. However, whenever he reached the point of bursting forth with power, he stopped. Xiao Chen kept feeling that he was missing something. If he let the move burst forth that way, he would not achieve the effect that he intended. So, Xiao Chen kept practicing tirelessly on the sea. Every time he performed the move, he would stop at the very last moment and start all over again. This continued for an unknown number of cycles. Unawares, he sank deep into the comprehension of this move. Xiao Chen forgot where he was or what his purpose here was. He even forgot who he was. All he remembered was the saber. Without Xiao Chen noticing, a pretty black figure appeared 1,000 meters behind him. This figure watched him with interest for quite a long time. However, after the girl saw Xiao Chen's exquisite saber technique stopping at the last moment and restarting again and again, she felt very depressed. The exquisite saber technique attracted Shifeng's attention at first sight. She wanted to see how it would erupt out and shake heaven and earth. However, the fellow before Shifeng seemed to be brainless. He always stopped at the most exciting moment and started over again. This happened several times before Shifeng could no longer stand it. I say, will you just let it burst forth? It feels very unsatisfying to see you stop at the most critical moment. Do you know how irritating it feels? The sudden voice roused Xiao Chen from his self-forgetfulness. He pulled back his saber and sheathed it. Then, he turned his head to take a look. Shifeng had arrived before him some time ago. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. I want to let it burst forth too, but I am still missing some inspiration. If I force it out, this move would be severely weakened. The four-season saber technique was very different from ordinary martial techniques. It paid a lot of attention to the state, its form was only secondary. If one made the move burst forth forcibly with an incomplete state, the might of the saber technique would be greatly diminished. And once it was set, it would be difficult to change. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter flowed in a cycle. If the previous season was not dealt with properly, it would greatly affect the next move. Thus, Xiao Chen had to perfect this first move, first clap of spring thunder, 10,000 beasts cry out, before he could let it burst forth. Shifeng said, in that case, you are extraordinarily silly. Since you know that you lack that inspiration, why are you still standing here like a fool? You might as well rush to gather with the Divine Dragon Palace's people. Shrugging his shoulders, Xiao Chen explained, I am lost. I do not know which way to go. I can only wait for night to fall. Since I am just waiting, I might as well practice. Shifeng shook her head and said, I really do not know what you are thinking. You did not even make any preparations when you came to the boundless sea. The waves will be very huge at night. Come with me. I have some navigation tools. Unexpectedly, Shifeng was so approachable. Xiao Chen thanked Shifeng and followed behind her, moving to the west on the calm sea. Along the way, Xiao Chen asked, I have been very curious, who taught you the 9 secret techniques of Qingyan Peak? Those are the secret techniques of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Qingyan Peak that would not be passed on to outsiders. When Shifeng heard that, she was slightly stunned. She said, my adoptive father taught them to me. However, he did not say that they were Qingyan Peak's 9 secret techniques. This is my first time hearing that. Xiao Chen suddenly thought of something, remembering a possibility that he had considered in the past. He asked, is your adoptive father called Leng Tianhe? Shifeng stopped completely and looked back. Her eyes filled with suspicion as she said, how did you know? Indeed, Xiao Chen had guessed it. Aside from the Pavilion Master's bloodline, no one else from the other peaks would be able to learn Qingyan Peak's 9 secret techniques. Furthermore, most people would have to swear an oath on their heart demon to not leak the secret techniques. Only someone like Leng Tianhe could ignore these rules. Xiao Chen asked somewhat excitedly, where is your adoptive father now? Xiao Chen could finally hand over the divine weapon. This item with him was a hidden danger. Once it was exposed, he would not survive even if he had 9 lives. Shifeng's gaze turned cautious as she countered, what are you planning? Nothing, I was just asking. Can you tell me? I would like to seek advice from him. After all, I come from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Xiao Chen wanted to tell the truth. However, when he thought about it, the divine weapon was an important matter that he should not speak of easily. So Xiao Chen could only lie. Shifeng said coldly, you are hemming and hawing. I can tell with one glance that you are lying. No way I am telling you. Xiao Chen smiled and did not deny it. There was no rush to this matter. At least he had found a clue. All he had to do was follow this clue and he would be able to find Leng Tianhe. The two continued moving forward. Xiao Chen found the masked girl very interesting as they chatted along the way. He discovered that Shifeng was different from what he expected. She was not as cold as she looked. Although she kept her guard up against him, it was not overtly so. Speaking of which, why do you wear a mask? Is your true appearance something that cannot be seen? Xiao Chen asked another question that he had wondered about. Shifeng said indifferently, my adoptive father told me to wear it. He said that when I fight, I cannot control my emotions, allowing my opponents to read me. Xiao Chen asked curiously, in that case, if you can never control your emotions, won't you have to wear this mask forever? She replied coldly, are you cursing me? He smiled and said, how can that be? You are overthinking this. I really want to see you remove your mask and see your true appearance. When Shifeng heard this, she said, you will. My first purpose in going the battlefield is to remove my mask. What's the second purpose? To improve myself and defeat you. I had never been defeated by someone of the same generation before you. So, you best not die in the battlefield. Flabbergasted, Xiao Chen asked, speaking of which, are you guiding me now because you are afraid that something would happen to me, and then after you improve, you would not be able to find a whetstone to sharpen yourself further? Shifeng nodded and smiled. That is absolutely correct. However, the whetstone is one for swords, not sabers. I cultivate the sword, not the saber. TL note. There are 2 words for whetstone here, Mo Dao Shi and Mo Jian Shi. The first literally means, stone for sharpening sabers, and the second is, stone for sharpening swords. When Xiao Chen spoke, he used the saber one. Xiao Chen immediately felt very depressed. No wonder Shifeng was so kind, she had such an agenda. In that case, I better curse you to not be able to remove your mask forever. Shoo. Shi Feng drew her twin swords and sent 2 strands of sharp sword qi at Xiao Chen. Shi Feng attacked on a whim. Xiao Chen was startled and quickly tilted his body to dodge. The 2 strands of sword qi brushed past him and created huge waves on the sea. In that case, you, a person with a poor sense of direction, can continue forward by yourself. This miss will not accompany you further. Shi Feng sheathed her swords and flashed forward, ignoring Xiao Chen. In a few breaths, she disappeared from Xiao Chen's sight. I really still do not understand how women think. They change on a whim. Xiao Chen felt very depressed as he watched Shi Feng vanish. I should just wait. After all, it will be night soon. At that time, I just have to keep heading west. Burble. Just at this moment, the sea in front of him suddenly became turbulent. Xiao Chen took 10 steps back as his expression changed. He placed his right hand on the saber hilt and cautiously observed the situation. Kai. A huge azure dragon head came out of the water. The dragon head was made out of metal and the water did not cling to it. The dragon mouth opened with a caw-caw sound. 2 middle-aged men in purple robes jumped out of the dragon mouth. The sides of the purple robes were embroidered with gold and an azure dragon at their backs. Are you here to participate in the 3rd grade battlefield? You just have to reply yes or no. The person on the right spoke very fast. When he saw Xiao Chen nod, he said, "Very well, get aboard. We are from the Divine Dragon Palace." Xiao Chen was not in a rush to board. Instead, he asked, "Do you have any proof?" When the person on the left heard that, he frowned and said impatiently, "You are just a mere medial grade martial king, why are you spouting so much nonsense? Just come in when you're told to." However, the person who had spoken first did not bother trying to argue. He took out a command medallion and said, "This is the command medallion of a Divine Dragon Palace's outer sect elder. It is definitely real. Please hurry up. We are in the periphery of the outer sea that is in the Black Dragon Group's control. We cannot linger for too long." After Xiao Chen saw the medallion, he no longer hesitated. He followed behind the 2 and entered the dragon mouth. The dragon mouth closed and the metal dragon quickly sank into the sea and proceeded on its way. Xiao Chen followed the 2 into the body of the dragon and discovered the interior to be like a small palace. There were night pearls on the ceiling to illuminate the passage, so it was not dark. The group arrived at a hall and Xiao Chen saw that there were about 10 odd people there. They were cultivators who were going to the 3rd grade battlefield like him, but he did not see Bai Lixi or Sun Guangquan. The atmosphere in this place was quite heavy. Xiao Chen immediately found a corner, sat down, and closed his eyes to recuperate. After the 2 Divine Dragon Palace outer sect elders brought Xiao Chen here, they did not linger. Instead, they quickly headed off anxiously. I heard that this time, 70% of the cultivators here to participate in the battlefield were abducted by the Black Dragon Group. 10% were killed and only 20% managed to escape. Now, we have only 20% of the usual number of people. This battlefield is going to be much harder than usual. Probably only 10% will survive. The Black Dragon Group seems to be making a big move. The Divine Dragon Palace has been rising very fast recently. It would be hard for 20% of the usual number of people to eliminate the demons of the 3rd grade battlefield. It seems like this is a bad time. Unexpectedly, the Black Dragon Group and the Divine Dragon Palace are at war. I'm not sure if this is a good or bad thing for us. Hee. Fortune or disaster would depend on how you look at it. A more intense battlefield would mean better experiential training. There would be no point to it if it were too easy. When the dragon submerged, some people in the hall sighed, some were excited, and some were indifferent. There were many reactions. Xiao Chen felt the azure dragon-shaped warship surface and submerge another 3 or 4 times, bringing in another 5 or 6 people. After moving underwater for a long time, they finally surfaced and soared into the sky, flying amidst the clouds. After flying for an entire night, they finally arrived at a small island. The two Divine Dragon Palace outer sect elders who had led Xiao Chen in entered the hall and said to the crowd in an unhurried manner, "We have arrived. Please disembark." Xiao Chen opened his eyes and slowly followed the crowd and emerged from the dragon mouth. Xiao Chen looked around and found himself surrounded by hundreds of azure dragon-shaped warships parked on the huge drill grounds. Countless cultivators came out from the dragon mouths and gathered together. There were at least 2,000 people. Xiao Chen felt astonished. Just 20% meant more than 2,000 people. This meant that if everyone was here, there would have been at least 10,000 people. The 2,000 people present were the people who managed to escape the pursuit of the Black Dragon group. They were all elites. The weakest of them were peak superior grade martial kings. About 1/3 of them were half-step martial monarchs. Xiao Chen continued looking around and finally discovered Bai Lixi and Sun Guangquan. So, he quickly moved through the crowds and went over to them. Bai Lixi laughed loudly and said, "I knew that nothing would happen to you. Indeed, it is as I have expected, you are not even injured." Xiao Chen nodded slightly before saying, "I heard some things on the warship. This time, it seems like only 20% of the usual number will be participating in this battlefield." Nodding, Bai Lixi said, "I don't know what the Black Dragon group is doing, but that is a matter between them and the Divine Dragon Palace. It has nothing to do with us. For us, it might be a good thing." Sun Guangquan added, "The third-grade battlefield is not as horrifying as you imagine. The strength of the demons would not exceed martial monarchs. Fewer people merely means that we have to kill more." Xiao Chen then asked, "So what exactly is our mission in the battlefield?" Bai Lixi answered, "It is very simple, we just have to kill demons. Every demon we kill will give us some points. We can use these points to exchange for medial grade spirit stones or even superior grade spirit stones with the Divine Dragon Palace." Xiao Chen said in shock, "We can even get superior grade spirit stones." Bai Lixi smiled and answered, "Of course. The spirit veins of the deep sea are much better than those of the continent. Why else do you think there are so many people coming to the battlefield?" Experiential training for cultivators is phrasing it nicely. In fact, every deep sea battlefield is a threat to the Divine Dragon Palace. Once there are too many demons, and the resources become insufficient, the demons will plunder the nearby islands. You understand what I mean, right? Xiao Chen nodded his understanding. Simply put, the Divine Dragon Palace did not have enough manpower and were spending spirit stones to hire people to help. Cultivators could undergo experiential training here and raise their combat experience as well as obtain spirit stones. This was killing two birds with one stone. No wonder there were so many people. Elder Feng, everyone is here. This disciple counted the number of people and there are only 2,300 people. The rest had been abducted by the Black Dragon group. A middle-aged man in purple robes respectfully reported to an old man on a platform in the drill grounds. This old man's name was Feng Buyu. He was a martial monarch and a Divine Dragon Palace intersect elder. He was also the overseer of this third-grade battlefield. TL note: Feng Buyu's name means the wind does not speak. Not sure if this is going to be a pun on his character. Feng Buyu muttered, "Just ignore the matter of the Black Dragon group. Naturally, our superiors will find and countermeasure. 2,000 elites is barely sufficient. Gather all of them and let's begin. I obey your commands." The purple-robed man left to carry out his orders, issuing some instructions. All the outer sect elders immediately moved to gather Xiao Chen and the others together. Ka-ca. Ka-ca. All the Azure Dragon warships opened up in the middle and joined together. Shortly after that, before Xiao Chen's astonished gaze, they formed a huge rectangular platform. Hundreds of dragon heads lined the sides of the platform. Bai Lixi patted Xiao Chen's shoulders and said, "Don't be too astonished. This is just the Divine Dragon Palace's Divine Dragon warship. When you reach the battlefield, you will see larger ones. Let's go.